Good evening and welcome to 365 Days of Amazing Stories with Theo Mayer. Here we are on day 154 of 2025, and I'm continuing and unfortunately almost finished with the story of the King of the Wind. Agba, sitting atop Sham, who had a purple saddle blanket, was being held by two halter boys. The race was about to begin. The starter was there at the line. He had sent off one of his assistants some ways down the track with the red flag. They had some form of communication that when the starter signed the man with the flag, the man brought the flag down and the horses would be off. It was up to the starter to make sure the horses, none of them were across the line. Now they had been brought by the royal stand where King George II with his wife Queen Caroline and their 4 daughters were stationed, as well as all their regal and royal friends, dressed to the hilt for the occasion. As I'd mentioned, to get all those horses up to the line to run was quite a task. There was nothing to hold them in place. No bars around them like there are these days in the derbies that are run. No, these horses were free and had to be lined up at the line. And there was a lot of jockeying going on. The jockeys were trying to vie for position. Now trumpets had been blown, letting people know it was just about to begin. And then, with a sign from the starter, the red flag was dropped and the horses were off. Now Agba was watching to see where Lath was. Now, of course, none of the horses had their blankets on anymore, so the only way you could see what horse it was by the color of its hood, or if there was some distinguishing feature of the horse that let it be known which horse it was. And of course, for Lath, there was a distinguishing feature. He was much smaller than the rest of the horses. So Agba just looked for the smallest horse and was a bit dismayed when he saw that Lath had gotten off to a terrible start and was behind all the other horses. In fact, he was quite a ways behind. Now, down the turf they went, and they went towards the Devil's Dyke, is what it was called. Now, this is a ditch, basically, a trench that had been built by the Britons years before to add a layer of defense if they were invaded by another people. And of course, this happened quite a bit back in those days. There were skirmishes over land and women and property and all those crazy things that people fight over. So the horses had to go across Devil's Dyke. Now, I will tell you that Devil's Dyke was quite long, and many, many, many people had shown up to watch the race from Devil's Dyke. Now, of course, part of the race, or part of Devil's Dyke that was the track, was clear of people. But people had shown up the break of dawn to have a good place to watch the race. And now these gusty horses were running down one side of the dike and back up the other. Now, this whole time the horse has been running toward the dike, Lath had been making up for lost ground. And we'll stop the story there.